Hello, hello. Here we go. Race 7, Imola. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
This
Whoa.
year is flying.
Isn't it mad?
Absolutely. How are we already at race 7?
I don't know, but I'm really excited about it. We had a fantastic weekend of action.
And just so much variability. Anything could happen. Like your guess was as good as mine. The cars were so close.
So close. And I tell you what we both didn't have in our bingo card for this weekend was Max
I
getting
know.
the win.
And we do say it every week. You can't discount Max. You can't discount Max. And what do we both do? Forget about him.
We did. We did.
Poor guy. I don't think he'll be too mad at us.
Well, Natty, do you want to kick us off?
Okay, so the weekend started. We got to see, I was going to say Jack. We got to see
Jack,
Franco.
who's that?
We got to see Franco in the Alpine. It was kind of like
We
he never
did.
left, really.
I know, right? It was just so nice just seeing him in the paddock. I was like, welcome back. So, practice on Friday morning. Once again, the McLaren's up showing us that early pace with Oscar leading the session, Lando coming in second. And then we had a little crash from Gabby on FP1, which obviously resulted in the red flag and disrupting the session ridiculously all the time happening. What else was there?
I think practice overall, the McLaren's, it was just, is it going to be Oscar? Is it going to be Lando? But Oscar was on it. He was from the get-go just up there. Lando could not get ahead of him. And it was by the smallest of margins, but he was just consistently the quicker driver, which...
Yeah, absolutely. And then even I had a little cheer to myself because it was Oscar Lando Carlos.
Oh, I did see that. Someone's predictions.
Yeah, I got so excited. But it was also just really nice to see that the pace that Williams is starting to set, even in the practices.
And
So yeah,
consistently set.
yeah, absolutely.
I
So that
think
was like a little bit of excitement to start the weekend.
it was. And I think, in previous weekends, Williams might pop up there and Alpine might pop up there. They're kind of just the outliers. We know, one of the midfield drivers is probably going to chuck in a lap that's going to put him up there with the top drivers. But Williams have consistently, the last few weekends, just been there.
Yeah,
They have
they're
been up
landing.
there and they are just performing. And it's great to see another team just going from where they were to, what they can do now is just incredible to see. I'm sure everyone working at Williams is like finally reaping some rewards from
Fist
all the hard
pumping.
work. For sure.
And as you said, even like the Alpine, so like Gasly in FP2, again, he finished third in the timings there. So great to see from the Alpine, especially with everything that happened last week with Jack coming out, Colapinto coming in, and then the rumour mill of he's not outperforming Jack that much. So it was good for him to give a little nudge to like, I'm here and I can perform. But yeah, so that was
Silencing all
really
the
good.
haters.
We
Yeah.
love that.
And like we've said previously, Gasly has been so consistent and on it nearly every weekend because he is in one of the back marker teams at the moment. We don't know. He could be driving the pants off that car. If he was in a McLaren this year, he could be winning the world championship. Like he could be having the season of his life, but it's just so hard to tell when you don't have the equipment to really show what you're capable of. But yeah, well done to Gasly as well.
So true. And what year is this for Gasly?
Good question.
Do we know? Because he's not a young duck. He's been around for a little bit, this car.
2017 was his first season.
Wow.
So 8 years in
He's
F1.
it's pretty solid.
He's a seasoned professional, nearly a senior citizen.
I think he's younger than both of us. Love that. So that was FP2 and FP1 and 2. But then FP3 on Saturday morning, Lando ended up topping that session, reversing the order with the McLarens. But they were really maintaining that strength. Then that's when Max kind of started showing his improved pace.
And that's what Max does. He just slowly chips away bit by bit, really works up towards that qualifying session.
Yeah.
And I think with every lap he did, he just got closer to the limits. And when it came down to it in qualifying, we got to see what he was capable of, which, like we said, we never even put him in our predictions this week, did we?
No, I can't believe it. But I mean, I can believe it.
The past 4 years at this track. We were a bit
Yeah,
naive.
that's so true. Yeah, we were. And it was just really good that the weather stayed good for the teams to be able to really, get all that good data collection, make sure that their setups were like on point.
Good for the teams,
So,
not so good
yeah,
for us.
absolutely.
Not for us.
And also, something that we haven't mentioned yet, hello C6.
Oh yeah, the new
Whoa,
tires,
whoa, yeah.
which I
That
think
was,
it threw everyone.
but I loved it.
It was good.
It was so great. Obviously, we'll talk about it a little bit later when we chat on the race, but it just threw everyone's strategies. It made the race so much more interesting,
It did.
I
And
feel.
I
Yeah.
think we can that bring us to qualifying.
No, yeah, let's get into it. Qualifying. It was really competitive. Quite a few surprises. I guess, do you want to kick off with Q1?
Yeah, so then we get into qualifying. We have Q1.
Yeah.
Everyone's putting in their laps. And then bang, crash number one. That
Yeah, that was
was
hard to watch.
hard to watch. That was goosebumps, hair raising,
Mhm.
anticipation, stomach in your mouth, feel sick.
Yeah.
What is going on? What just happened?
I thought that car was going to go over the fence. That is how much air he got.
I just don't understand how he walked out of that car. It still baffles me.
Thank God he did. That was just horrifying.
It was so
And it's
scary.
just,
It
yeah,
was
you're
so,
holding your
so
breath the
scary.
whole time until you hear him on the radio. I don't even think we heard him on the radio, actually. I think they just kind of held off. By the way, we're talking about Yuki Tsunoda.
Oh, yeah.
We always do this. We get so into it that we know who we're talking about. But yeah,
Unless you lived under a rock this weekend in the F1 land,
yeah,
we all
yeah.
saw Yuki Tsunoda's crash. And that is what we are talking about.
That's right.
That halo is working overtime.
Mm,
Thank
mm,
goodness for the halo.
yeah.
The way it just scraped across the floor, that would have been his head scraping across the floor.
Yeah, yeah, no, it wasn't a goodie. Thankfully, he walked away. And that was really early on. I think it was like the first lap.
And I think as well, being at Imola, we always have the tributes to Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger that unfortunately passed away around that track. So before the race even starts or any of the session starts, it's at the forefront of your mind. All the tributes have happened, and that's what you're thinking about. A really bad crash and what can happen.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he crashed and rolled that car, my goodness, it was just, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
beyond.
Thankfully, he walked
And then
away.
he just hops out and walks off like, can you wait, Yuki?
Yeah.
Just stop. I'm not ready to move on.
Can you wait till medical assistants come and check on you first before you start taking steps away from the car?
Gosh.
Yeah.
And it's just not what Yuki needed. There's been that question mark over his name because Max is doing what Max does, winning or being on the podium, and Yuki's barely scrapping for the last points. So it was just not what he needed this weekend.
Yeah. Other than that, it was a lot of like traffic management. I think that's what the drivers found quite difficult in this qualifying. Traffic management definitely was a challenge. The drivers just couldn't get some clear laps. Obviously with Yuki's crash, that set off the red flag. And then the new C6, they're trying to figure out this new soft but also having such a limited allocation of them. That was also quite interesting. But then, towards the end of Q1, Colapinto!
Another crash. Yuki didn't need the crash this weekend. Franco really, really, really didn't need the crash this weekend.
No.
I think just the luck around the weekend, it was just not there for anyone.
Yeah,
Franco-
someone was just like hovering over that track and saying, I'll give you a bit of good luck and I'm going to take away some luck from you and you're going to get some more luck. It was just,
everyone
some
that you
fairy godmother.
everyone that you wanted to do well this weekend. Ferrari, Kimi, Franco. Maybe it was a full moon, I don't know, but things were not going to plan.
Was Mercury in retrograde?
I think so.
No.
Oh gosh. But no, and it again with the C6 tire, so many times I look at the screen. I think it was Fernando and Lance a couple of times putting in these laps on a medium tire, and I'm like, what a medium? Oh wait, the medium's the old soft, which is still the new soft. So it was a bit confusing to get our head around. But it is good because it's the unknown, so teams are just guessing at this point, and it changes it up for us, which is always great to see for a fan.
what made it all so exciting, right?
Yeah, so who was out in Q1, Ali?
So Q1, so obviously Sonoda DNF'd. We had
Yep.
Ollie Bearman in 19th. Unfortunately, he's just not finding pace at the moment, but that's just another
Yeah.
story. And then Ocon 18th. Hulkenberg went out at 17th and Lawson 16th. God, that guy can't catch a break, let me tell you. So even though Colapinto crashed out in the end of Q1, he still had out qualified. So
Which is really disappointing because it would have been really nice to see how he would have gone in Q2 and where he would have stacked up against Gasly. I think it was a real
yeah,
shame that we didn't get to see that.
yeah, absolutely. But there's always next week, right?
There is, and which is so close. 3 races in a row.
I know. Boom, boom, boom.
So exciting. Then we had Q2, which so much was happening in Q.
So much.
So much. Too much. Too much, not enough.
I know I can guess what the heartbreak of Q2 for you was, but did you want to tell the people what the heartbreak was?
Ferrari. What? Their home race. Their home race.
I
Both
could
cars.
not believe it.
My goodness. What happened?
What was I watching? I
I don't
just
know.
kept watching them slip further and further down, and I was just like,
At one point I was like, oh, I think they're safe. And then Gasly chucks in a lap. And I'm like, oh, the Aston
oh,
Martins haven't finished.
the Astons.
No way they're gonna pick off the Ferraris. Next minute,
Oh, boom,
Williams.
boom.
And I know we keep saying this, that Carlos out qualifying Ferrari after he got dumped last year. But again, I don't think it's a surprise anymore. I think that's just the genuine pace. Williams is better than Ferrari on a Saturday.
Oh, the Tifosi. Their poor hearts.
Literally.
Oh, I would have drowned in a bowl of pasta that night.
The only good thing I could take from that was that it was both of them. Like
Yeah.
it was Charles and Lewis both going out in Q2. I think if it had
Yeah.
just been Lewis at his first home race with Ferrari being knocked
Yeah,
out,
that
it
would have been pretty
just
hard.
been horrible. And
Yeah.
even for Lewis's mental, he would have just thought, "What am I doing?"
Yeah, and I think he probably wouldn't been at the level that he needed to be for the race. So
Exactly right. So I think, they were
definitely.
close. I think it was like a couple of tenths between them. So it wasn't too bad.
Yeah,
They could
yeah. I think
console
it was
each
just
other,
1/10. Yeah, I
wipe each
know.
other's
And
tears.
then the second heartbreak of Q2 was Kimi going out,
Yeah.
which is really surprising. Obviously, he's been a real strong performer the last couple of races. He's been consistently in the top 10 for qualifying and at his home race with all of his school friends there
I
to
know.
watch.
On their excursion.
He didn't manage to get out of Q.
No. And maybe, he still is young. It's his first year. And because he has been doing so well, maybe we forget that a little bit. The
Yeah, and I
pressure.
think we obviously hold him to such a high standard because he has come out all guns blazing and really impressed everyone with his skill. So yeah, there is a little bit of, well, a lot of the point that we do need to just keep that in mind, that he is a rookie.
Yeah. And I think coming off the last race in the sprint, getting pole in the race, qualifying P3, I think we're
Yeah.
just like, oh yeah, Kimi will make Q3. No questions
Yeah,
asked. So
yeah.
it was just
Maybe
a
a
little
little bit of pressure as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
All
we
things that he'll learn to manage, I'm sure.
and be back stronger. Exactly. Kimi, we do not doubt you for one moment.
Absolutely not.
And then Q3, before we even get started on the lap times, shout out Alonso, Stroll, Carlos, Alex, Hadjar. Who else?
What a top 10, honestly. Did you say Stroll? Because I'm going to
Yeah,
say
I
it
did.
again. Stroll.
I think we posted it on our Instagram. Adrian Newey
Yeah.
is definitely clocked in at Aston Martin and did some kind of tweaks for the Saturday setup because that car was flying.
We were talking about this last week.
We
When's
were.
Adrian coming? And I reckon someone's thrown Aston a bone, and I think his name's Adrian. So,
Literally.
yeah, that's super exciting to see.
Thank goodness. If this is what he can do for the team, I'm excited to see what the future holds.
Yeah. Can we confirm that Adrian did actually have involvement?
Look, no, but I'm just going to go with it because how else did they get those cars into Q3?
Pull the curtain aside. Adrian, you back there?
Yeah, literally. Just, are you there?
Hello?
But it's really
Yeah,
interesting 'cause
no.
we haven't seen him on the track yet, have we?
No.
Like, we haven't seen him at a race. We want to see him in an Aston Martin t-shirt. What's going on?
Can't wait for that.
Yeah, it'll be
But
good.
yeah, Q3 was quite interesting. Such a great mix-up of teams in the top 10. Again, Oscar absolutely nailing it, coming in at P1. So that was really nice.
Just
I'm wearing
consistent.
my orange today. I'm wearing my papaya today.
It's not quite papaya. It's a bit brighter.
I know it's quite fluoro, but
It's still in the same
we do,
colorway.
yeah, yeah,
We
we do what
accept. We
we
accept.
can.
No, really good from Oscar. Oscar's in
Yeah.
front, so I think he's just confident. He goes in, he puts his lap time in, and he's just nailing it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And he needs to keep that confidence up though, because that points gap is closing.
I know. I don't know if you're of the same opinion, but as Oscar's like star is starting to shine brighter and brighter, I feel like Lando is like dimming a little bit. Like he's just a bit.
Yeah, and I definitely felt that, especially in Q3, not even making the top three. I think that definitely would have hit home for Lando. Yeah, so
And
Max just narrowly missed out on pole, so settling for second, and then Georgie boy sneaking in there for third. So yeah, it's not great to see. Obviously, I picked Lando to be up top this weekend. I was speaking to someone about this earlier this week, and you can almost see that championship completely slipping away from him.
yeah, he needs a full reset. His demeanor has changed, his enthusiasm, he just seems a bit downcast. He needs his spark back. And in any of his interviews, they're like, what's the plan for the race? And he's going, just have fun. It's like, no, yeah, obviously we want you to have fun, but get your elbows out
Yeah, yeah,
and win.
yeah.
Say you're going for the win.
Get
His
the job
confidence has
done.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not good to
Yeah.
see.
And I mean we're saying this, but Q3 there was minimal margins. It was super close, but it's just not great to see him in that, especially when he's in the best performing car.
Yeah.
I think that's probably weighing on him a little bit as well.
Yeah, poor Lando. So yeah, how do we qualify, Al?
Orlando. Yeah, so let's go. So we had P10, we had Gasly in the Alpine. Ja came in the ninth. Lance Stroll in eighth. We had Albon in seventh, Sainz in sixth. So great to see that both the Williams side by side there. Fernando Alonso in fifth, Lando in fourth, Russell in third, Max in second, and our boy Oscar in pole.
Well
Which
done.
takes us to the race.
It does.
Just don't even. Oh, the race. The race.
The race.
A lot happened.
It was so exciting until turn one. What even
That
was
was, and to be completely honest, on a track that is actually quite hard to overtake on, there were so many great overtakes in this race.
It was great.
Obviously, kicking it right off with Max overtaking Oscar on turn one. On the outside, I was gasping.
I was so surprised.
I was so surprised because I felt George had a really good takeoff. And
did.
I was like, oh, Max is done. George is going to get Max. And then
I
out of
think-
nowhere,
I think Max
Boom.
was surprised. I think he surprised himself. Honestly, I don't think he knew he was going to do that move until he did it because nobody saw that coming.
it was just so clean, which is another
Yes.
thing. I'm so glad that it was clean.
Yeah, it wasn't a Max-esque move. It
wasn't super aggressive. It was
wasn't
just
a dive bomb where, he pushed another
Chef's
car off
kiss.
the track. Yeah, exactly. We're not sitting here going, was it fair? Was it not fair? It was fair.
Nah, it was like
fair.
great racing.
I think Oscar, he got a really good takeoff, but because George got such a good takeoff, he was worrying about George on his left. He completely discounted Max on his right, and he got caught off
Yeah,
guard.
I think
didn't
he
know where
braked
was
pretty
looking.
early into the corner as well.
And yeah, he did say that as well in his presser. I think it was just a mess
Yeah.
from the start, really, for Oscar. And then that was just
Yeah.
how the rest of the race panned out for him, really. A mess.
A mess. It was. So Max took the lead and Max
That was
kept
it.
the lead. So shall we just finish the recording now?
Yeah, done. Bye. No, I
No,
think
it was such a fantastic race.
it was. I think Max got the lead then. And then with the safety cars that were popping off here, there, and everywhere, there was a little bit of chance for something to happen, but they all worked in Max's favour. and it just
Oh
kept
my gosh.
it just kept
That,
building that gap.
yeah. So I was super surprised when McLaren called Oscar into the pits when they did. But
Why?
obviously he was showing, yeah, he was showing on the radio that he was not confident in his tires. He was like, no, these tires are not it.
Well, they did say that the tires, they had this window in the middle that they were really struggling with, but as that
Mm,
passed, they came good again, which is obviously what we
yeah.
saw with Max and Lando. And I think
Mm,
Oscar can only see and tell you how he feels in that moment. He's not privy to all the data that everyone else is. And I think
yeah.
in that situation, McLaren should not have pitted him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why go
I agree.
first? Why roll the dice? And as well, pitting him into all that traffic.
Oh,
That poor guy, he was just driving for his life. And he did,
he was
and he
working
did, to be
overtime.
fair, overtake after overtake after overtake after overtake.
Oh, it
For
was
what?
phenomenal. It was great to watch.
For another
But
safety car
why?
to come and ruin all the hard work
Oh,
he's just put in.
yeah. So obviously, so the first safety car, the virtual safety car, that was due to Esteban's
Retirement.
car. What happened to his car? It was a mechanical issue. I know that. It was just like driving and then it died. Nothing fancy. Went to sleep.
Yeah, I don't know. Has doing has things.
But yeah, yeah, right. So the first one being the virtual safety car. Lando pitted right before that happened,
One lap.
which was quite not even a full lap. It wasn't even a full lap.
It did him dirty.
Absolutely worked in Max's favour. When I saw him coming to the pit, when I saw him driving out of the pit and coming back out on top, I had to take deep breaths because that was their opportunity. That
Yeah,
was
and
going
you
to
just
be
don't
their
know.
only opportunity to get Max.
100%. He had all the good
Oh,
luck, but he made his own luck as well, put himself in that
yeah,
position. But it couldn't have
yeah,
worked out any better for him there
yeah.
because if Lando had have waited a few more laps, they came out together, both on new tyres.
Mm,
What could have been?
yeah, yeah, I know. But, we can't dwell on it. I think with that first safety car as well, it really allowed the teams to adjust their strategies. So, because, like, with it being the virtual safety car, they didn't lose that much time.
No. And
So, yeah.
we did see so many random things happening in the race. They pitted Charles as well. So him and Oscar were both just driving for their
Yeah.
life, just putting in the hard yards, getting all these
Yeah.
overtakes
Stuck in
done
traffic.
for the safety car to just come out and basically equalize it
Mm,
all and ruin all the hard work they'd just done. Defeating.
I know. So great to watch, though. Like, there was a moment in the race where Hamilton was just stuck behind Antonelli and he just couldn't get him. It took so long.
So many
And
laps.
it was at that point where Oscar was just lapping everyone. Hamilton's just behind him.
Yeah.
And Oscar just comes along and he goes, like,
Yeah.
straight past the both of them. That's
Good.
how it's
So
done.
many good overtakes. I think
Yeah.
another one, which I was kind of a bit worried about, was when Charles overtook Gasly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because firstly, they're really good friends.
You're like,
And then
no.
second of all, Gasly just puts it straight in the gravel. I'm like, oh
Oh,
no, oh no. Please let him stay on track. But no, he was able to rejoin and all was well. Yeah,
that
it
was a
was.
great one. Later on in the race, the Albon Leclerc battle, I was like, oh, is it going to happen? And then
What's your
Albon's in the
opinion?
gravel. I don't feel like Albon's wing was in the front, but he should have definitely left a little bit more space. I think the only reason they really wanted him to give the position back was for the pure fact that it was being investigated.
Which is why I think Ferrari, they're not confident in their decisions.
Yeah.
I do understand where they were coming from because the cars were so close in the end. If he were to get a 5-second penalty or a 10-second penalty, whatever he may have gotten,
Yeah.
he would have lost 5 or 6 positions. So
Yeah.
he would have been out of
Well,
the
yeah, because
points.
everyone was so stacked up at that point.
Exactly. So I think they were being really cautious and they made him give the position back just in case that was what was going to happen. Whereas
Yeah.
I don't think he should have given the position back and I don't
Yeah.
think he would have got a penalty for it. But
Mm.
yeah, Ferrari should have stuck up for their driver, gone hard. No, we don't agree. And they should have
Yeah.
fought for it a bit more. I do get why they did that as well because they didn't want to chance missing out on all those points.
We're so close to the end, but yeah, it is what it is.
I also really liked Lando's overtake on George
Oh,
around the outside.
So Lando's overtaking in general
It was great.
was great. Loved his overtake on George.
He was another one that was like, you're saying I can't overtake? Well, watch this, bam. You know, like
Mm,
it was
mm.
definitely silencing some of his critics there as well. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then the only other overtake that I'll speak of is the one that Lando did on Oscar to nib on second place. And it was bloody good.
it was good, but I don't think Oscar really defended much
No, he
there.
didn't. But
He didn't have the
I
tyres.
think it was just one of those things where he knows he didn't have the tyres.
Do you
But
think
still,
he should have given the spot straight away so Lando had a chance to catch Max?
no.
Really?
I don't know if Lando wouldn't have. I don't think Lando would have caught him. I think,
We'll never know.
yeah, that's my opinion. Yeah, you never know, right?
I did hear Lando on the radio though. You know, Oscar's tyres are way older than mine. If we want any chance of catching Max, we know what to do.
Yeah,
We know
yeah.
what
But
to
the way
do.
he did it is like, oh, I'm just sitting back here behind him. He's trying to win this championship as well. So love that there was no team orders though. I think they just need to do that with them, especially at this point where they're so close in the standings. Obviously, every point matters. They need to be really careful.
There is going to be a point though.
Oh,
They
they will
need.
be.
They're going to have
Absolutely.
to put team orders in because you don't want what happened last year to happen again. If they had
Yeah.
have implemented team orders earlier last season,
Yeah.
the gap from Lando to Max would have been way less, way less.
Mm,
But
mm.
then that's going to be Lando's argument this year. If Oscar's in front, they waited and waited last year before they put team orders in. And if they do it again, Max is just going to pick up all the points and he's going to win it because the McLarens are squabbling over, who's the number one driver. So tough discussions to be had at McLaren, I think. Tough discussions to be had.
Absolutely. And it'll be interesting to see at which point in the season they do make that call. And obviously, it's just going to depend week to week, race to race, how they're extremely close. I don't think it's going to go one way or the other anytime soon. We are still really early in the season. So I don't think we'll see anything until probably summer break.
And if not at summer break, it's too late, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, too late. Like they need to make it earlier, definitely.
Yeah, because they're just going to lose out in the end.
If they make it at all.
Lots of
Who
cars have
knows?
upgrades coming, so we never know. We never know what can happen.
I-
Also, I know we have spoken about Ferrari already.
Let's go. Hamilton climbing through that field. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Literally, I've never been so excited for a P4. I felt like he won.
I know. I was messaging you last night. I'm like, how good?
Yeah, and I think as well, because he had a comeback race, it was like a redemption race. It wasn't, he didn't qualify P4 and get
Yeah.
P4 and it was what it was. He's down there in 12th, just driving through the field, picking them off. Yes, the safety cars did work in his favor, but it was so good to see Lewis going forward, not defending. He literally was overtaking. He was moving forward in the race. It's what we've been wanting to see for so long. And I think
Yeah.
it's just what he needed as well for his confidence, for the season
Yeah.
ahead, and his home crowd. I don't think it could have gone any better. What do you think?
Loved it. Loved when he came around after he went through the checkered flag, came around, drove past the hill of the Tifosi, and he was just loving it. Yes, this is what it's about.
For sure.
Exceptional.
And then I love
Exceptional.
how Charles was so devo about P6 and Lewis is so happy with P4. It's just so
I
funny.
know. I know. Even Alex Albon, that was such an impressive race. He was a little bit down on himself as well for getting P5. Mate, pat yourself on the back. That was great.
But him being disappointed is just so exciting because he felt the car had more. They're there on genuine pace. They're there on merit. It's not a random, oh, Williams had pace that weekend. Williams has pace, full stop.
Yeah.
They are there battling with the teams and it is just so exciting. And I think for Carlos, it's making him feel good about his decision. Like he could have gone to Audi, stake F1 team. That was his other option last year. He would be DNFing lap 1. And here he is in the Williams in Q3 consistently. So good job, Carlos.
Yeah.
Good job, Williams.
Absolutely
good job, Ferrari.
well done. Actually, I really loved some comms where they gave some feedback on Alex to Carlos, and Carlos was giving, surely that's a one-stop strategy for him based off where he's at. Look at that for teamwork. Like, love that.
Yeah. Like, Carlos, are you a driver or are you an engineer?
No, he thinks he's a bit of both.
He's so smart.
Yeah. It's just really nice to see that dynamic in a team, in a race team,
Yeah.
especially when you are battling each other, you are each other's competition. But just to see him like giving his knowledge and like his thoughts on what should happen as well to better improve his teammates' position, that's just great sportsmanship. Yeah.
No, for sure. And I think we saw that in one of the first races as well. I can't remember which one, but Carlos was out and he was on the pit wall.
Yeah.
And he was
Yeah.
just
Loved that.
helping Alex through his race and tire management. And I think it's just a testament to who he is as a person as well, just like a great guy. So
Yeah.
good job, Carlos.
So
We love to
good.
see. I think another honorable mention is Isaac Hadjar. Again, we keep saying it, but he's
I
just
know.
consistent.
Yeah, he really is. Out of all the rookies, Kimmy's obviously performing really well as well. But now that Kimmy did slip a little bit, so we haven't spoken about this, but Kimmy unfortunately had a DNF
Yes.
going out, which caused that safety car in the last 20 laps. But yeah, like Isaac is just good job, Isaac.
Are we sensing maybe another Red Bull mid-season swap? Yuki back out, Isaac in. What's going on?
Oh my gosh, honestly, I would not put it past them.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
I still
Absolutely.
do think that seat has a curse, though. The second Red Bull
Yeah,
seat.
I mean, I wouldn't do it. Don't want to ruin it.
Isaac, if you're listening, stay at Racing Bulls. There
Doing
is a
your thing.
curse.
The marketing team's not as fun at Red Bull.
Yeah. Red Bull aren't getting a
You
hot
won't
pin
be doing all
delivery.
those. Yeah, no. You won't be doing all those fun TikToks. So just stick it out. Do keep what you're doing.
Exactly right. Anything else? We should mention, we did talk
Yeah.
about it before.
Yeah.
Aston did so good on Saturday, but where were Aston on Sunday?
I know.
In reverse.
And they really struggled with that tire management. They had bad luck for the race, definitely. Especially with that last safety car. Am I
Did
right?
you hear Alonso on the radio?
Oh, it was blowing up.
He's like, I've got the worst effing luck of any driver. He was. But it was also really good to hear he's just so passionate still.
100%, yeah. It is the worst luck, right? Because they just had such a great start to the weekend, and then you just saw them slipping. Yeah.
We did see it with a lot of teams, which is what I was going to say to you before. Do we think that Ferrari compromised their setup on their car for Saturday to give them more race pace, and maybe Aston set up their car more for quali? Because, Imola is traditionally a track where overtaking is hard. They thought, you know what, let's set the car up for quali, because if we qualify out of position a bit further ahead of the grid, cars aren't going to be able to overtake us anyway.
Yeah. No, that's
so
a great point.
That's what I was thinking, because to go from so good on the Saturday to being nowhere on the Sunday, and then in contrast to that Ferrari being so bad on the Saturday and having such good race pace, I think we did see some real drastic setups that the teams had used for that.
Yeah.
Because there's not really any other way to describe such a vast change in doing well to then doing so bad, or doing bad and then doing so well with Ferrari and Aston.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And yeah, that is actually such a great point that you make. Although it's really hard because obviously Stroll really dropped off, but Fernando is still middle of the pack, which he's been like quite towards the bottom like the last couple of races. So, and I think he finished 10th, didn't he?
I think Yuki got him in the end.
Did he?
Yuki
That's
got a point.
so disappointing. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Alonso ended up coming 11th. Yeah. That's such a disappointment. It's just not ideal.
No. But yeah, I was hoping Alonso was going to snag that last point, but he did not.
Maybe next time.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else you want to add to the race, Monaco.
Oh, yeah. Monaco. We love Monaco.
We have Oscar still leading the championship.
To be exact, 13 points.
13 points.
Yep.
And then sneaking behind Lando, we have Max, 8 points behind, lurking in the darkness.
Ooh.
And then other than that, like George is 25 points behind Max. So he's still up there. But those top three, there's not much in it.
Yeah, There really isn't. So it's going to be really interesting the next two races to see how everyone performs, you know. Or we could have a miracle Ferrari win at Monaco like last year.
We could. Charles' backyard. Charles doing Charles things.
Yeah, yeah. I really would like a little bit of a mix-up, but we'll wait and see. So again, as it was the story this week, next Alpine's going to be super important.
Saturday night. Well, yes, Saturday night here in Australia. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
So excited. I think it's anyone's pole because the cars are so close and there's no room for error. Basically, who's got the biggest cojones and wants to get the closest to the wall, basically, is going to come out on top.
Yeah.
Which I ask you the question, Al, who is going to snag pole position next weekend?
Oh my gosh. I never want to discount Max now. Like, he's just really put me in a spin this week. But I'm going to put George in pole, actually.
Wow. George on a street track.
I love that that's always your reaction. So good.
Okay. George for pole.
Yeah.
Rogue. Very rogue.
It is rogue. I think towards the end of the season, I might actually start being a little bit less rogue and actually use what my brain says.
You never know. You predicted Carlos up there last week and he didn't get on the podium, but he was fast and he just got unlucky.
Yeah. My other thing with George is that whenever I don't have him in my predictions, he's always in there, and then vice versa. So I hope I'm not cursing him in putting him in my prediction, but he's just there. He is snatching those points, and I'm all for it. So yeah, George on pole.
George on pole. Okay, well I think
Who
you're
you
going
going,
to be surprised
Natty?
by this one. I'm going Oscar on pole.
Love that one. Tell me why.
Well, last year he was P2. It was a 100th or a 10th. It was something really small that Charles got pole by. Oscar was in P2 right there behind him. So I think he's just going to continue to do what he's been doing, which is consistently being the fastest. So I think Oscar's going to be on pole.
Okay, I'm excited for that.
But also, if I didn't say Oscar, I was going to say Lewis. Only because he's won around here before and he's going to just be so high off the fumes in Italy from this weekend. He's going straight from Italy into Monaco and he said he just felt good with the car. So I think he's going to have that confidence to really push the limits at a track like Monaco where you need to push the limits if you want to do well.
Yeah,
I'm going Oscar
absolutely.
for pole, but maybe Lewis, so we'll see.
Maybe Lewis. Maybe you can put Lewis in your podium predictions.
I will. Speaking of podium predictions, take it away.
Okay, so I'm keeping George up there. How am I going to do this? What's the conversion rate usually for pole to winner?
It's probably like 99.99999%.
Oh, God. Okay, what have I done? Just because of that, because of the probability, I'm going to keep George in P. But then I'm going to pop Oscar in P2.
Yeah.
And then Max at P3. Sorry, I don't have a Ferrari in my future.
Well, luckily I'd have 2 Ferraris in my future. So it's fine. Going Oscar P1, Lewis P2, and Charles P3.
Oh, Charles.
I had a little taste for Ferrari.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening.
You never know. Lewis, could he make it a 4th win at Monaco? Who knows?
Yeah, so let's see. Let's see what Monaco brings.
How exciting. Well, Natty, thank you so much for another great episode. Thank you to everyone for listening in. This is race 7, and we've just been to Imola, and we'll catch you at Monaco at the end of the week.
Will. And just a little mention, we do have a few new followers listening to us. We wanted to say hi. Thanks for being here, and we love to have you here. So please stick around, comment, like, subscribe. We love replying to all of you. So if you want to send us a message, please feel free. See you later.
Bon voyage.